What is up, guys? Welcome back to a new video. This video must have been the most requested video on this channel, which is how to install Kali Linux in dual boot with Windows 10. Now there is already a video on that, but you guys demanded a new one and I did that, but not just that, I also went ahead and created a very thorough blog post on how to install Kali Linux in dual boot with Windows 10, specifically Kali Linux version 2020.2 that just was released a couple of days ago. So this video is really up to date. I'm going to take you through each and every step and why I also wrote a blog post about this. The reason for that is that I am doing the ethical hacking diaries at the moment, and you can check out the introduction to the ethical hacking diaries in the list of videos you find on my channel. And what we do there is we are interconnecting basically the videos and the written blog articles, and it works really well and the people really like it, so I do the same thing with that. So in case you get stuck somewhere or you just don't know if it's correct what you're doing, you can pull up the blog post, which is a little bit more detailed than the video probably, because there are screenshots of each and every single step and I explain every single step in great detail there. So while you're walking through the actual video on how to install Kali Linux 2020.2 in dual boot with Windows 10, you can have the blog article open at the same time. There are all the download links in there, etc. So it's gonna be a smooth ride for you this time. I also make sure to don't leave any single step out, and I try to really explain every single step, and I give a lot of warnings that following this procedure is dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And what I mean with that is it's a possibility there that you will mess up your current Windows 10 installation. So before attempting this tutorial, make sure you have your files backed up, and also make sure that there is nothing on your computer that you might still need, because there is a chance that your Windows will not boot anymore. This is quite a complicated procedure what we are going to do, and I'm doing it on a specific laptop model. Now every other laptop, like every different model of a laptop is different. It comes with different hardware, different BIOS configuration, you have different software installed, you maybe have different partitions already in place than I have. And there are so many variables that it's just impossible to take all of this into account. So you really need to be aware of that there is a possibility of you losing your files. And another thing I want to mention is I spent probably 10 hours writing the blog post, and it took me a lot of time to create this whole tutorial. The video will be another couple of hours altogether, and it's very thorough. So please do not send me emails and questions for troubleshooting. If you need help on troubleshooting your Kali, come to our Discord channel. I leave the link in the description below. Ask there, but generally I am not tech support. I give you a tutorial and I won't be able, and I am not willing to answer any technical questions that follow after if you mess up your system. So be very aware of that. There is no support on that end. It's just impossible to answer all the questions that you guys have. With that out of the way, I think let's get started and install Kali Linux in dual boot with Windows 10. Alright guys, welcome back, and let's get right started with the installation. So I'm going to show you the article on the website because I think it's beneficial if you actually open up the article while you're going through the tutorial. So go to ezoic.com, simply I'll leave the link obviously in the description as well, and I guess I need to update my page here. Not popped up yet, and there you find it. It's in the latest articles, but also it's in the featured articles here, so gonna stay there for a while, I guess. So just open up the article, and you can read through all of that if you want to. I will just cover the important parts, so let's go down. And what I mentioned here first, obviously, is if you're willing to support me, the best way to support me is really following me on YouTube, subscribing to my YouTube, because 95% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel, and that's a big problem because it really affects my YouTube revenue. So if you like this video and if it's helpful to you, please go ahead and support me. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Reddit and Twitter if you want to, and join our Discord server. All the links are here. Would be great if you do that. So the requirements. I'm going to use a laptop which is a Dell Latitude E5470, and this tutorial will cover UEFI BIOS because I think legacy BIOS is quite outdated and most of the newer laptop models will be already running UEFI. So make sure that you are using UEFI BIOS on your laptop, and I'll show you how to find that out. So what you need then for this tutorial is a UEFI BIOS capable laptop, a 8GB USB flash drive that is empty. All files that are on your USB drive will get deleted once we write the Kali image onto it, so be aware of that and secure your files before doing that. Then we need access to LAN or Wi-Fi during the installation, and obviously what I mentioned before, make a backup of all of your important files that you still need. Alright, to check your laptop if it's running already on UEFI or on legacy is really easy. So while you are in Windows logged in, and I'm going to show you this through those screenshots, because if I pull up my own system information, I would need to blur out everything. That's additional steps that are unnecessary because the information is just there. So what you do is you press your Windows key, you type system, and you open the system information window right here, as you see in the screenshot. Again, that's why I opened the article in the background, so you can also double check that yourself if the video is a little bit too fast for you. And once you are in the system information thing, you want to go to system summary on the left upper corner. And what you want to find is the BIOS mode. And as you can see, my laptop is running on BIOS mode UEFI. That's what it needs to be. That's what we need for this tutorial. Do not attempt this tutorial if you are running legacy BIOS, because it will break your system and it will not work. If you are running legacy and your laptop is capable of UEFI, which is also a possibility, it's possible to change this, but for this you need to reinstall Windows 10. So if you don't care, and if you just want to have a laptop that runs Windows 10 in dual boot with Kali Linux, then you can go ahead and reinstall Windows on UEFI. To do that, you need to go to your BIOS settings and change from legacy to UEFI and then reinstall Windows 10. And again, all your files will be gone, but you should be aware of that now. So if you want to do that, you can do that before starting this tutorial, perfectly fine, and once you've done that, it's all gonna work. Okay, next thing. To actually do that, we need to download the Kali ISO file first. So we are going to click on this download link here, and once again I'll leave the links in the description of the video, obviously, but also they are in the article, so that might be easier to follow. Okay, once you are on kali.org/downloads, you want to download the Kali Linux 64-bit installer. I already went ahead and did that. Just click on this link and the download will start. Next up, we are going to download a tool that's called Rufus, and we use Rufus to create our bootable USB drive. Right click on this link and open it up, scroll down and click on download Rufus 3.10. It's a legit tool, I use it for many years already. There are the exact steps on what you need to do, but obviously I'm going to show you the steps here as well. Okay, go ahead and open your downloads folder. You will find Rufus and you will find your downloaded Kali ISO file. And to do that, we need to double click on Rufus. And of course, we need to, where's my USB drive? There's my USB drive, and I'm gonna plug it into the computer right now. Okay, USB drive is plugged in, and it immediately shows up here. Before you do anything, make sure this is the correct drive, that you don't have any other external hard drives plugged into your machine. And then once you made sure that this drive is the correct one, again, everything on the drive will get wiped, be aware of that. Click on select here and go to the downloads folder once more. Click on the Kali Linux 2020.2 installer AMD 64 ISO file. Click on open and it will be scanning your stuff and checking if it can write the image, which it can. Then you click on start. Then there is a new version of sys Linux available. If that is the case, then click on yes to download the files. And this next step is very important. You need to write in the D-image mode. Otherwise, your installation will fail at mounting the CD drive, I think. Final warning, everything on your drive will get wiped clean. Click on OK if you are fine with that. And now the image is writing, and we are going to be back as soon as that is done. Again, to show you the steps here in the meanwhile, there's literally a screenshot for every step, and it's really hard to fail. Now, while this is downloading, we can already go ahead and create a new partition on our Windows 10 laptop. And for that, I need to go over to the other computer. Okay, now I fully understand why nobody wants to shoot those videos because it's so stupid to film them, but I hope you can see enough. And what I have here is the vanilla Windows 10 laptop, and we are going to create a new partition. So to do that, we have to press Windows key plus X to pull up the menu there. And I hope this is visible enough. And we click on disk management there. And why we do that is because we need to borrow some hard disk space from our C drive where Windows is installed to be able to install Kali on there. So what you want to do is you want to right click on your main partition, which is indicated by the letter C. You right click that, then you click on shrink volume. Now it really depends how much space you have and how much you want to allocate to Kali. I recommend anywhere between, as a minimum of 30 gigabytes and up to like 100 is plenty. So my sweet spot is usually somewhere between 50 and 80 gigabytes. For this example, I'm gonna use 30 gigabytes, which is indicated by 30,000 megabytes. So you need to put 30,000 in there. And then you need to click on shrink the volume. Just make always sure that your Windows partition still has enough space left after that. So I have plenty of space in there. Definitely I can borrow 30 gigabytes without any problem. The thing is, after you have done that and after you have Kali installed, it's hard to like reallocate some space or allocate more space to either Windows or Kali. So think of that a little bit and before you do that, and to be sure that you have enough space on both partitions left, because it's gonna be a real hassle if you need to rearrange that later on when you run out of space on one of those operating systems. Okay, just right in time, my Kali Linux image has been finished writing, and once that is done, go ahead and plug in the USB drive into your laptop and it will show up here in a second. Now we need to go ahead and reboot our laptop, and we need to find a way into our boot menu. And the way how you do this, at least on my laptop, is by pressing the F12 key while it's booting up, but this varies from each and every laptop manufacturer and laptop model. So the easiest way to find out how to get into your boot menu is by googling your laptop model and boot menu in one sentence, and this will show up a way how to get into that. In most cases it's like something like pressing 11 or F12 or F2 or even F1 on some models that brings up the boot menu. Now be aware that there is a possibility that secure boot is enabled on your laptop. This can be a problem, so make sure to switch off secure boot before attempting this installation, just to be sure. Also just Google deactivate secure boot and your laptop model. So we are going to go power and we're going to go restart, and I'm gonna smash that F12 button on my keyboard as soon as the reboot is initiated, which is now. So I'm gonna smash that button. There we go. The Dell logo, and it's preparing to enter the one-time boot menu. There we go. Okay, so now we are in the boot menu. You can see secure boot is deactivated. And what we want to do is we want to boot UEFI boot. And you can see that there is already Kali showing up. This will not show up for you guys. This is because I had Kali on there before and the boot record is still written in there somewhere. What we need to choose is our USB drive, and I have SanDisk drive, and you can pretty much easily differentiate those two drives. This is the main hard drive in the laptop, and this is the USB drive which we need to boot from. Once we do that, the Kali installation menu will pop up in a second, and we are going to choose graphical install. Okay, we let that thing boot up, and now we are in the select language. Now we're going through a couple of settings here. Obviously select whatever language you want. It is possible that your touchpad is not working, same as like mine is not working. There are two options: either you plug in a USB mouse or you navigate using your tab button on your keyboard, which is what I'm going to do. So press the tab button and it will navigate through the possible options there. Click on continue, then select your location if you want for the time to be properly set. I'm in Europe, Germany, so I'm gonna do that. There we go. You can configure locales. I always leave that on United States. Press the tab key, press continue, and then choose a keyboard layout that fits to your keyboard. I have a German keyboard, so I'm going to choose the German one. And now it's detecting and mounting the installation media. Now, if you have an error message here, you probably wrote the image, you didn't write the image in the de-image mode, so you need to go over the Rufus installer or Rufus imaging process again and make sure you select the de-image mode. Now let's load that up for a second. Okay, there we go. There is written that some of my hardware needs non-free firmware files to operate, and if that's the case, just press, leave it on yes and click on continue. Now it's gonna detect the network hardware, and this was an issue in Kali 2020.1. And I don't even have a LAN cable plugged into my computer now. If you have one available, you can plug an Ethernet cable into your computer during the installation to speed up download and install times. Now, this was a problem in 2020.1 where it was not possible to basically use your Wi-Fi card on some laptop models, and I'm quite eager to see if that was fixed. And it looks like it was fixed. Now, we don't have a physical LAN connection, so I'm gonna choose my Wi-Fi network, and if that works, it's great for most of you guys because you can do the same. And it looked like it works. So I need to choose my own Wi-Fi network, and I'm gonna blur that out in the actual video, so you guys will not see the Wi-Fi networks that I'm using here. And I'm just gonna enter my key. If I can type it like this angle, from this angle. See. Okay, and obviously I'm gonna blur that out in the video as well. And then next it's attempting to connect to the access point, and it looks like it was successful. Cool. Now that works. Now that's one thing that they have fixed from 2020.1. That's great to see. Now it's configuring the network settings and stuff like this, and now we can choose a host name for the system, and obviously I'm just gonna choose Kali. It doesn't matter what you put in there. Then we click on continue. You can choose a domain if you want to. If you don't know what that means, just leave it on default or type local. Click on continue. Then enter a full name for your user. You can enter your name, you can enter your cat's name, you can enter your dog's name, you can enter whatever name you want. I'm gonna obviously enter Ezoic, and then you choose the name for your username or user account. You can leave that as the same as it is, which I will do. Click on next. Choose a very strong password, not like 4 characters like I do in this example. Choose a much stronger password. Click on continue, and let's see what comes up next. Now we are going to partition our hard drives, and this is the most crucial step that you follow very, very carefully here. Okay, so we need to do manual partitioning here. And again, make sure you really follow this thoroughly, because if you mess up here, then your Windows might not boot anymore. I try to do it very slow, but what you can do and what I recommend you to do is double check the steps in the article if you are not sure if you did the correct thing. So you can see that we have a couple of partitions here, and obviously the biggest partition is our Windows partition, which is indicated also by NTFS. And we see that we have a couple of gigabytes of free space here, and this is the 30 gigabytes that we have allocated. Hence we need to choose this and hit the enter key. Now we are going to create a new partition for our swap partition. And the size of the swap partition is basically indicated on a table that I posted on the blog article. Now it depends, the swap size depends on the size of your RAM that you have in your computer. I have 8 gigabytes in my computer installed, so my swap partition is supposed to be 3 gigabytes big. And as I said, there's a table in the blog post, open that up, and I made it to be very easy for you, so you can, there are all kinds of configurations like 4 gigabyte, 2 gigabyte, 8 gigabyte, up to 64 gigabyte. You can just copy and paste that. So as I said, I have 8 gigabytes of RAM. I need to choose a swap size of 3 gigabytes. Then I press the tab key to continue. Then you choose beginning in here for the location for the new partition. You click on next, and then you do use as, and then we go swap area. Now go up to name and name it just simply swap. Then click on continue, and bootable flag is off. and then we click on Done Setting Up the Partition. We have created our swap partition. Great. Now we select the rest of the free space again. We hit Enter, and then we do, I think, automatically partition the free space. Yep, I just double check it. It is definitely automatically partition the free space. That works well in that case. So leave it at that and click on Continue. Then you want to select all files in one partition, which is recommended for new users. Select that, click on Continue, and double check if everything is to your liking. So we see we have 28.5 gigabytes left for our Kali. And once you are fine with that, go down to Finish Partitioning and write changes to disk. Select that, hit Enter, select Yes here again for the last warning that the files are getting written on the hard drive partition. Click on Continue, and the partitioning and formatting is going to start. Okay, sweet. We are almost done, guys. This is perfect. It went very smooth so far. I'm happy for that. If you use a HTTP proxy, just enter it here in case. If not, just click on Continue. And now it's actually gonna pull down the files in a second. I think we need to do one additional configuration step before that. So let's get finished with the upgrade here, or the update of apt. And let's see. Okay guys, there we go. Now we can choose what kind of software we want to install. And if you don't know what that all means, it's perfectly fine to leave it on default. In fact, I'm going to leave it as default nevertheless, because I'm not interested in any of the other options. What you can do here is you can choose a different desktop environment like GNOME, KDE, LXDE, Mate, but I like XFCE to be honest, which is Kali's default desktop environment, so I'm not gonna mess around with that at all. And the same goes for the tools. It's perfectly fine to leave it on the default tools. You can do large, but I rather prefer to have a slimmer system. I would actually go ahead and even don't install the default tools on my own system, because I like to have a leaner system to work with. But for everyone else, the defaults are perfectly fine there. So just go and continue. And now this is gonna take a while because it's pulling down all the software and it's installing. So depending on your internet connection, you have to wait for a while. So go out and get some coffee or whatever. And we'll be back once that is finished. Okay guys, the rest of the installation has just completed, and we can go ahead and click on Continue to reboot our system and see if Kali Linux actually boots up. Now you can remove your USB drive. Actually have to, otherwise it's starting the installer again. And let's see if it works. Should just take a couple of seconds, and there it is. Now, if you don't press a button, the up or down arrow key here, within 5 seconds, Kali will just boot automatically, or the operating system that is on top here. Let's go ahead and boot Kali Linux and see if that works. There we go. We created a user. So enter the username of your user there and enter the password and log in. And we can see that works. So Kali is booting up. Our touchpad is also working. The first thing I recommend you to do is to do sudo apt update and $& sudo apt upgrade -y. This will update and upgrade your system. If you want to continue to do some other stuff and you don't know where to go from here, then simply follow the article, the top things to do after installing Kali Linux on ceosec.com. The link to that is also in the written article of how to install Kali Linux in dual boot with Windows 10. So check that out. I'm not gonna do that right now, because I want to see if Windows 10 is actually also booting. So we're going to press on the menu button here. We're going to the lower right corner of this menu, and then we click on restart. And now we want to see if our Windows is also still booting up, because that's quite important, right? As I said, you have to interrupt the group boot menu within 5 seconds, otherwise Kali will automatically boot again. Let's see, there we go. I quickly press the down arrow key, and you want to choose the Windows Boot Manager. Now there is another option There is a tool out there, and you can find that by searching for or by googling for change group boot order, where you can just run it, and then you can set up that, for example, Windows will boot per default. That's what I usually do, because I want my Windows boots per default, and that I can manually select Kali if I want to. Really easy to find, really easy to implement, but it would be too long for this video to cover. So select Windows and let's boot up. That already looks pretty good. And there we go, we are back in Windows, hence both is working. And there you have it, guys. That's really all there is to it. You have successfully learned how to install Kali Linux 2020.2 in dual boot with Windows 10. I hope it wasn't all that hard to follow. One more thing I want to mention is your USB drive will be probably now unusable because it has multiple partitions on it, and there is a troubleshooting section in this article. So if you have any problems, let them in the video comments below and I will add them here. One of them is that the USB drive is unusable, but I have a guide up on how to fix that, and that's actually simply by using Rufus. So you use Rufus to repair it. Just follow this article there. Really easy. And the last thing I want to mention is the where to go from here section in the article. I highly recommend you to check that out because I linked a couple of my articles here, and one of them is the top things to do after installing Kali Linux, where I go over all of the stuff that I usually do, and it was just updated in April 2020. It gets constantly updated, this article, so I show you what my favorite tools are, what kind of stuff you can install. It's a pretty long article as well, which you can check out. And another is the best ethical hacking books and stuff like this, and also my channels to follow on social media. And with that being said, again, if that helped you, if that was a good tutorial for you and you were able to install everything successfully, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, because it's really a tremendous help for me. Otherwise I will not be able to produce these videos in the future anymore, and that would be a shame, and because I like creating stuff for you guys, so I hope you like that. Also hit the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below if you actually liked it. So with that being said, I hope I don't have to recreate this video anytime soon, because it's a very lengthy process. I rather would update the article that is already in place in the video in case they do any changes, but I think they will not in the near future, and this video will be valid for quite some time. So with all that being said, guys, thanks for watching the video, I hope it was helpful, and I see you back in one of the next videos. Until then, bye.